Interviewer, Taffy Gould McCallum. City, Sunrise, Florida. Country, USA. Language, English. Tape 1. I'm Taffy Gould McCallum. Today is March 3rd, 1995. I'm in Sunrise, Florida to interview Rudolf Sachs. Thank you for your willingness to share with us your life story. Would you give us your name, please?
My name is Rudolf Sachs.
And do you have a nickname?
I have no nickname.
No one calls you Rudy?
At home they call me Rudy, yes.
What is your age?
I'm 72.
And your date of birth?
April 14, 1922.
And in what city and country were you born?
I was born in Halle-Saale. Halle-Saale is near Leipzig, Magdeburg, right in the center of Germany, formerly East Germany.
Would you describe for us your childhood? Who were the members of your household?
Well, I was the only child.
Yes.
And my father was Martin Sachs, and my mother was Paula Sachs, near Marcus. I was the only child, as I said before, and I was well sheltered. In other words, I didn't go much about, and I stuck to the home most of the time, and I was well looked after.
Were your grandparents a large part of your life?
No, my parents died before the war.
Your grandparents?
My grandparents were over the war.
What did your father do? What was his occupation?
He had a store or a shop, let me say, selling shirts. He went around the neighborhood, and he visited certain companies, and he sold shirts too. He had a factory in Germany who made the shirts for him. In other words, it was a wholesale German business.
Had he fought for Germany in the First World War?
Yes, he was in the First World War, yes.
Do you know anything about his experience? Was he decorated?
Well, no, he was not decorated. He was, I think, he served in the quartermaster store.
Mm-hmm. And your mother?
And mother was a housewife, and she had no job, but she more or less cared for me and the family. And she baked and cooked. And
do you know how your parents met?
Yes, they met in Allenstein. Allenstein is in East Prussia, formerly East Prussia. Now it belongs to Poland. And they were married there. And then they moved back to Halle, where my father had his business.
Tell me something about the Jewish community life in Halle.
We had a synagogue, and we went to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We went to synagogue, and my father had the first row. He was a very well-known member there. In fact, the seat in the synagogue was from his grandfather.
Really? Do you know his grandfather's name?
No, no more.
What was the name of the rabbi in that synagogue?
Dr. Karlberg. In fact, his family immigrated to Sweden after that, and last year I met him in Halle, where I went, and I met the son.
Were you Orthodox Jew?
No, I was just observant Jew.
And what about the other Jews in the synagogue?
They were all conservative,
all
as
conservative.
I would say, yes.
How did you celebrate Shabbat and the holidays?
My mother lit the candles, and we said a small bracha, and that's how we celebrate Shabbos.
But you were still very much aware of having a Jewish
Oh yes,
identity.
I was very much aware of being Jewish, yes.
Did you go to Hebrew school?
Yes, I went to Hebrew school twice a week in the afternoon, and I learned Hebrew, history, and whatever was required.
What language did you speak in your home?
German.
Just German.
Yes, German.
And your parents spoke only German to each other as well?
Absolutely, yes.
Do you remember any of the newspapers or books in your home as you were
Yes,
growing up?
we had several books, Martin Buber, and Jewish history, and Jewish stories, short stories. And of course we had the Siddur.
And how about newspapers?
Newspapers, we had the Hallische Nachrichten, which was German newspapers. We had a Jewish paper once a week, came out, and we read that.
Did your family participate in many cultural activities in Holland?
Yes, we had sukkahs. We went to the synagogue and celebrated some restauro. And my mother belonged to a sisterhood, so-called, and we were quite active in.
How about anything like concerts or sporting events?
Not that I remember.
Did you participate in any sports or play any musical
yes,
instruments?
I participated in the Jewish, they had a Jewish group, and once a week we met playing football. And
that was a very active group?
yeah, that was very active, Jewish.
About how many families would you say belonged to your synagogue?
Oh, we had about 200 families, yes. The whole town had 200,000 inhabitants.
And did most of the families participate in the Jewish club as well?
No, not all,
No?
all. Some did.
Would you say the Jewish community was a very close-knit community?
It was very close-knit
It
because it was a relatively small community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you have any non-Jewish friends?
No,
And did your parents have any non-Jewish friends?
I don't think so. No.
Were you aware when you were growing up of any anti-Semitism?
Well, later on it came up in school. Yes, we did not sit together. We had to sit separately.
You had to sit separately?
Yes, we had to sit separately on the side or in the back, and Jews were separated in an early age.
Were the Jews the smartest students?
More or less, there weren't many Jews in my class.
I see.
I only had one more Jew in my
I see.
class.
And did girls and boys go to school together?
Yes, absolutely.
How
yes.
about in Hebrew school? Did you study with
Hebrew
girls?
school, yes. As I said before, I studied Hebrew and history.
But with girls?
With girls together.
Also.
Boys and girls studied together, yes. In one room, and a blackboard. And we had a Jewish teacher.
Were there any?
He was Ashkenazi.
Uh-huh. Were there any Jewish teachers in your regular school?
No,
None. None.
none.
Do you remember some of the courses you took, or whether there was any particular ideology that was put forth in that school?
Well, for one thing, when they taught religion, we didn't have to attend that time. So, of course, the Christian belonged to Jesus, and at that time we went outside and waited for the class to be resumed.
And did you feel any anti-Semitism from the other children?
Well, yes, at the early stage, they resented the Jews, and very often they called me names. And
Now, at what age were you first aware of this, that there were other people who didn't like the Jews?
when I was 14,
14.
yeah.